So 20 plus years ago, when they decided that they were going to be working on a X-Men movie, Fox reached out to many of the top writers at the time, who today are rather regarded as some of the best directors in the last 2 decades. In this video, we're going to look at some of those names and what might have been. Now, of course, when it came to the X-Men, we know that Fox bought the rights and they tried to work on it for years, up until finally the rights were about to start going back to Marvel due to, certain constraints within contracts and certain limitations. So they decided, okay, we got to get serious about this. We're going to push on with a full-on X-Men feature because we bought those rights, so we might as well try. And before it ended up being the film we had, as it turns out, they reached out to plenty of people in Hollywood, some of which I think many of you will recognize the names. First and foremost, Chris McQuarrie, who of course is responsible for the most recent Mission Impossible. Another big name they reached out to was Joss Whedon, who at the time of course was doing great things with Fox, considering he had Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel was right around the corner. Also, other people considered were the writers of the movie Seven and some of the people involved with Bill and Ted and Men in Black. Now, of course, the actual final product would go to David Hayter, who ultimately was known for Solid Snake at the time for the Metal Gear franchise over in the video games. But, if you look at the history, we know a few of the details of what was happening back then and sort of direction. And, I would assume that when McQuarrie was attached to this script, that more than likely due to how he's talked about some previous experiences before, his was probably way grittier than what they were willing to do, and more than likely his Wolverine was probably even more of a central character and far more grittier. At the same time, it's hard to imagine Joss Whedon not getting a job like that, but that did happen considering he worked on X-Men comics, just a few years later, and people love his actual run. And at the same time, you see how he had character dialogue and the witty banter and everything, which honestly would have fit pretty well into X-Men, considering he was doing it over on the TV side. But then again, he probably would have brought some of those, I guess Whedon-isms is the best way to put it, which I don't know if they would have sold at the time to that type of movie. So again, I think we ended up getting the best possible X-Men we could have at the time, where comic book movies were like literally an unsure thing, because just a couple years prior, Batman and Robin literally killed that genre. And it was only decided that, hey, maybe we should take more serious cracks at this because of Blade 1. So again, there's a lot of what ifs, and I wish that maybe at some point we'll hear more details from some of these people that were attached to it, because I would love to know what direction they were heading in with some of these. And considering there's some concept art out there with previous versions, I'm assuming the more comic looking ones were probably Joss Whedon's doing.